Welcome everybody, my name is Matthias. I'm going to guide you through our first lecture of the QuarkXPress Masterclass training series. This one is going to cover styles, and please remember we will send out a link after the session where you can find the recorded session of this first series of the Masterclass training series so that you can rewatch it again should you want to. Before we start, some housekeeping rules. Today's session will run for around 30 minutes. You're automatically muted, otherwise we'd have too much background noise. And if you have a question, please use the Q&A panel that you see as part of this webinar software. And you can ask or type it in there whenever you think of it, and we're going to address them at the end. We have about 10 to 20 minutes for Q&A. Unfortunately, we can't answer technical questions, tech support questions, basically because they're too individual to be answered. So I'm going to show you some support options that we have at the end. And I promise I'll only show you one marketing slide. The rest is all about tips and tricks. And that's really what this masterclass series is about. I'm not going to read you the manual or show you things that is written in the manuals. This is supposed to be showing you some things that you might not know. If you do, be proud. You're probably a master of QuarkXPress yourself. And I still hope that there will be at least one or two tips or tricks for everybody that you haven't known before. So I hope this is going to be useful. Also, what you've probably seen here is if you look at the bottom of my screen, you can see I'm using a software that shows you shortcut keys. The shortcut keys I'm using, also I can highlight my mouse cursor just to make it easier for you to follow, because typically in a presentation I don't use shortcut keys, but sometimes I need to, and you can see which ones I actually pressed. So the class 1 that we're talking about today is all about styles, and we're going to focus on a few styles, object styles, which are called item styles, so they deal with lines or with boxes, and text styles, the style sheets and the conditional styles. There are of course more styles built into QuarkXPress: bullet styles, output styles, callout styles. We're not going to cover them in this session, maybe we'll do a session afterwards. So if you're happy with our 6-class series, please write us an email if there's more topics that you would like to see. Also, I have some cheat sheets prepared. I'm not going to read through them because they are more intended for, we're also going to send you the presentation that I'm showing here for download purposes, and the cheat sheet will repeat what we've shown here today so that you can remember the tricks that we have shown you. So next thing I want to do is I'm going to switch to QuarkXPress and I'm going to show you some tricks. So let's start with our first layout that I've prepared. I'm going to magnify this. So what we're going to talk about here is we're going to talk about the classical styles that QuarkXPress has since ages, basically since version 3. Or at least that's the version I started first with, so I don't know, maybe it was already in versions before. So it's the style sheets, so we have paragraph style sheets and we have character style sheets. And what style sheets are is, I'm sure you are aware of that, is automation features basically, so they help you to stay consistent and they also help you to apply several attributes with one click. So the first thing I'm going to show you, and that's something that probably all of you know, is I'm going to go into this paragraph style sheet, so it could be a title or a headline or something like that, and I'm going to define a new style sheet. The important thing is when you want to create a new style sheet, you of course could copy all of the attributes out of the measurement palette. The easiest way is you just put the text cursor somewhere in the line where you already have all the styling defined. Then you click on new style sheet. In this case I want to create a paragraph style sheet and I'll just call this title and I'll say OK, and you can see everything is already being populated here. So if I look into my character style, I can see I have this Metro Nova, 14 point, and so on. So I'm going to say OK, and you should have noticed it's automatically applied. That's new in version 10, and this really helps me to not do this mistake that I typically do, at least in older versions. I define my style sheet here, and then I apply it to the next ones. So in the end, I have all of my titles consistent except for the first one because I forgot it. So in version 10, that's not necessary anymore. So what happens now if maybe I don't like this style sheet and I think like this definition and should be a bit larger? All of you know, let's just not take 14, let's take 15 points. All of you know the little plus here. And in versions before, it was always very hard to see what this plus meant, because it could mean just one change, like I did, the font size, or it could mean that everything has changed. So you basically modified normal and all of the styling information is completely different. So what you can do in version 10 here is, and that's a good trick, is so I just hover the mouse over this little update button and you can see my local formatting, the thing I changed that is different from the style sheet is just the font size here. And let's maybe just give it also a different color, because I'm going to do some things with the style sheet. So I want you to see this a bit better. So I'm just using this magenta thing here, magenta color. And so what I want to do is I want to maybe apply the style sheet to all of my titles and also to all of my body. So again, I'm going to go into this body here. I'm going to create a new style sheet. I'm going to I'm going to define this as body, and I have my style sheet. So how do I apply the style sheet to all of the different things that I have here? So one thing is I could, of course, like I just did, manually click each single one of them and say, okay, this is going to be paragraph style sheet. Much easier is if I find something that is unique here and I replace by a style sheet. So this is a Metro font with a font size of 14. That's pretty unique here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do Edit, Find Change, and I'm going to click on Ignore Attributes so that I can define more what I'm going to search for. And what I want to find is the Metro 14 points, but I don't want to replace it by any other font. I just want to replace it or change to a style sheet, and I want to use title here. So it's not really changing it, it's applying it. So I'm looking for Metro 14 points. I'm going to apply the style sheet. So find first, there's my first one, and then I say change all, and all 10 instances have actually changed here. So if I look at every single one of them here, you can see in the style sheet palette that I've applied it. And that's a great way of working much quicker. And of course, what I can do now is I can do the same thing for body, which I could do, but QuarkXPress has a really nice feature always built in that I always liked. It's that you can define how to concatenate style sheets. So typically when I write the title, I'm going to edit the title, and I call this little menu by using the right mouse button, so contextual menu. So when I look at title here, I can see I have here my title, and the next style is supposed to be body. So when I type in title, hit the return key, the next style sheet that should be applied is body. Right now I'm going to do the same thing here for body. I'm going to edit body, and then I just want to have title again. So what happens now, if I'm in my text box and I will apply title, and I write in title, and I hit the return key, please watch what the style sheet palette is doing. It goes to body, so now I can type body, and I hit return again, it goes to title. So it's a nice way of automatically applying style sheets, if this makes sense, the way I set it up here. So what about existing text? The great thing is in version 10 here, we can also use this feature with existing text. All I need to do is I will select all of this here, right? And just to show you that better, let's first put this, this magenta color into the style sheet. And the way I will do that is I will just hit the update button. So to get the little bubble help that you're seeing here, I just mouse over, and when I hit it, you can see that now all style sheets have actually changed. So you can see the magenta color, the local formatting went into the style sheet, and now back to all of the instances. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to apply the automatic concatenation of the style sheets to existing text. And the way I do that, I'll right-click my title, so the first one I want to apply, and now I get this really nice contextual menu. And I don't know if you've looked into that. You should, because there is a lot of nice options in there, or even options that you probably know, but there's a special shortcut key that you needed to hold. They are spelled out here. What I want to do is I want to apply the style sheet using next start. So when I do that, I think I clicked a bit too quickly here. When I do that, then the main thing that happened here is you can see that all of these paragraphs here, they have body actually automatically applied. So a great way of applying the next style on existing text. So have a look in the contextual menu or in the little palette menu here. There's a lot of things in there that you probably find useful. Okay, so what if I want to give these style sheets to somebody else? So I want my colleagues to also use the same style sheets. Of course, I could use the file append here. Then I need to make my QuarkXPress file available, and somebody needs to select that and append the style sheet. So a great way of giving somebody style sheets is by just creating a library. So I'm going to create a library somewhere on my desktop. I'm going to call that my styles. And now all I need to do to get the style sheets into the library is I need a text box that contains all of the style sheets. So I have title in here, I have body in here. I'm just going to move this into my library. I'm going to double click that, and this is maybe for my brochure. So I'm going to label that, and now I have my collection with all of my style sheets for my brochure. So how do I use that? Imagine I have an empty QuarkXPress document here, a new one. You can see no style sheets defined over here in the style sheet palette. And all that I need to do is now I need to drag out this text box, and now you can see style sheets are in here, and I can even delete my text box again. So a great way of actually distributing style sheets that you've set up. In a later class, I think it's the class number 4, I'm going to show you how you can do that using job jackets. It requires a bit more setting up, but it has a bit more powerful features that you can use then. But the library version, I think, is also a very nice way of distributing style sheets. So let's go to our second file. What I have here is I have a document with 20 pages, and I have chapter starts. I just use this magenta line to indicate that a bit better. And if I go to the next page, you can see here's already something that I typically don't want to have happening, that the chapter start is not at the beginning of the page, and I have these 2 lines here. If I scroll a bit further, you can see it's even worse here and something here, right? So if I go to my thumbnail view, you can see that several of these chapter starts, they just don't start at the beginning of the page. So how can I do that using styles? What I can do is, well, first what I need to do is I need to apply a style sheet. I don't have any style sheet here. So let's just define one quickly. I'll call that chapter start. And it's applied here. Now I need to apply this to each chapter start. So I need to look for the Metronova 32. So if I do a find Metronova 32 and I'll apply a style chapter start, I go to find first and change all 6 instances changed. So far I didn't do anything that you haven't seen before. I just applied the style chapter start to my chapter starts. And how do I now get all the chapter starts here to adjust? I could, of course, go through manually and applying something like a next box character, but that's what I don't want to do. I want the style sheets to automatically insert a page break, basically. And so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go to my chapter start again. I'm going to edit my style sheet. And the only thing that I will do different is I will do a space before. My page is, I think, around 200 something millimeters. So I just need something that is at least the size of, or the height of the text box, or a bit more. So space before 200, I say okay, and now you can see what happened. This automatically jumped to the beginning of the next page. So if I go to thumbnails, you can see that actually all of my chapter starts are now at the beginning of the page. That's a great way of automating page breaks here. Let's go to the next page, or the next document. What I've set up here is I have a table. I didn't use the table tool. I'm using here a very simple tab separated table, and often that's enough for what I want to do. And what I want to do is I want to do alternating lines. So I want to do something like this. Let's first set up these lines. Let's magnify this a bit. So for the first line, I'm going to create a rule. The rule that I want to do is going to be 18 points. And I want this rule, well, black is maybe a bit too strong. So let's use our magenta. Let's use a different color. Let's use this green here. And I want this to, let's try 2 millimeters. Yes, that's perfect. I want this to be exactly behind the text, right? I'm going to create a style sheet out of that, just green line. And now for the second line, I'm going to do the same thing here. So I'm going to create a rule. It has to be 18 points. Let's use orange. That's a bit too dark, maybe yellow. And same thing, so minus 2 millimeters. So it's exactly behind that here too. And I will create a yellow line. And I want to do alternating colors for the rest of the lines here. So I'm going to do the same thing that I did before in my document 1. So I'm going to go to yellow line and say my next style is green line. And I'm going to go to green line. And I will say my next style is yellow line. And now all I need to do for this table that I took from Wikipedia is select it, and the first one I want to be green, so I'm going to right click the green one and say apply using next style, and now you can see that I have a nicely formatted table, of course now with styles. And if I want to have this a bit shorter, I could go back to my style and say, well, I want my indent to be a bit less, so rules, sorry, I want to go here. So my indent from the right is maybe 20 millimeters. That's not enough. I wouldn't work this way because it's much quicker. You just go to rule here, and there you see a 20 millimeters, and you can either use the little arrows here, or I just tab in things. 30 is not enough, so maybe we need to be a bit more drastic. 100 seems to be fine. And then with the update style sheet, so update local formatting, you just move that back into the style sheet. It's much more visual than going to this dialog box, trying it out and seeing what it does. So same thing here. I just go to my right indent, say 100 millimeters. It's going to be a bit shorter here, just this line, right? I just changed the first yellow line here. So my style sheet gets a little plus here, and then I use the update button to write that back into the style sheet, and I have a nicely formatted table. So, excuse me. So what if I want to create some more complex rules? So in my table example, what I did is I just used alternating colors. And in this example here, I have maybe product setup. So they describe what is included in the Creative Go Pro bundle. And maybe I want to have my products that I included in here. I want to have the bold. And you can see that became bold. By the way, you can do that, hit the bold button here, if the font is installed that is needed by making it bold, and you can see that it's available because there's no warning sign. Otherwise, QuarkXPress would show you a little warning here at the bold button. So what I want to do is I want to, for this product, have this bold, then maybe my SRP, my suggested retail price, I want to have in a different color, magenta maybe, and maybe I want to strike this through to indicate that This used to be the price, but you don't have to pay it here. So very easy. Using style sheets, I could now automate that and say, well, for all of these 5 products, I have 3 style sheets, one for the title, one for the body text, one for the price, and then I have to do 3 clicks per product. And if I have 100 products, that's very time consuming. So what I want to do here is I want to set up conditional styles. And conditional styles you'll find in the window menu. It's a palette. Remember, they're alphabetically sorted, so you'll find them here very easily, conditional styles. And these conditional styles can apply these kind of formatting automatically. The thing, or the first thing to remember about conditional styles is conditional styles do not contain any styling information. Your styling information is contained in style sheets. So what I need to do is I need to set up 3 style sheets first. The SRP here is going to be a character style sheet because it's just these characters here. I'll just call this SRP. Then I want a body paragraph style. So body. Okay. And you can see since we're applying it automatically, actually my price has reverted, which is fine. I have my style sheet set up. And then I want my product set up. Okay, product. So now I can style these here manually, but I want to use a conditional style. And conditional styles, they kind of are like iTunes Smart Lists. So when I create one, think of that you're applying rules to your text. So what I want to do is, and I'm going to call this products. I first want to apply my product style sheet, right? That's the first one up here. And I want to apply that up to the end of the paragraph, right? There's a paragraph up there, ends there. So next one that I want to do is my body. So again, apply my body style sheet again up to the end of the paragraph. I just have one here for each product. And now imagine this like a virtual text cursor, right? So we applied here, end of the paragraph, applied here, end of the paragraph, and now I need to move back. So what I need to do is I don't need to apply, I will have to say go, and I want to go back to a certain text, right? And the text is SRP here. And I'm going to go backwards. I'm going to make this mistake on purpose here. I'm not going to use backwards through, I'm just going to use backwards so you can see what is happening. So our virtual cursor goes back to SRP, and then I want to apply style sheet again, which is the SRP style sheet, and I want to do that again up to the end of the paragraph, right? Like this. So if I did everything correctly, let's have a test. Then I go here and, I mark this, what I want to do. I go products, and you can see now here that this is automatically formatted. Just the SRP is not formatted correctly, and this is because I forgot to say backwards through, right? So if I just say backwards, your virtual mouse cursor moves up to here, and then this is not formatted, so I need to say backwards through, and I say OK, and then everything looks correct. So now I have a style sheet, a conditional style, that I could use to individually format each product, but that's still too time consuming. What I want to do is I want to automatically apply them to all of them. So I need some kind of unique identifier where to repeat the rule, right? They don't repeat by themselves. So I have this little dot here, so that's what I'm going to use to actually repeat my conditional style. Not at every paragraph, at a certain character. The character is my little dot here. I say OK, nothing is repeating yet because I haven't applied it. So I'm going to select everything here. I'm going to select my products, and you can see that everything now is formatted consistently the way I wanted it. There's maybe one shortcoming. If I hit the turn on invisible, so you can see that each of the descriptions, including the price, is one paragraph. And if I hit the return key here, you can see, well, now I have 2 paragraphs, so my conditional style rule doesn't work anymore. How do I fix that? I just go back here and I apply my style sheet up to the end of the paragraph. So what I should probably do is I should say up to a certain text. And I'm going to apply this up to SRP. And if I say OK, you can see now this even works with product descriptions that are longer than one paragraph. So very powerful way of applying these rules automatically. So enough of text styles. Let's use an item style. Item styles are basically, they behave the same way like style sheets, or very similar to style sheets, and they work on boxes or they work on lines. And what I want to do here is I want to create a coupon, right? So or an ad or something. So I'm going to create here my box that snaps. And run around, of course, I need just do a simple run around, style this a bit. So I want a certain color. Call this is a coupon or an ad or whatever. And what I want to do is I sometimes want to have the coupon in column 2, sometimes maybe in column 3, and so on. And though I have these guides that, of course, help me snapping, maybe sometimes I do a mistake, I don't move it far enough, or it snaps to a different guide because there's so many guides. So what I would do, I want to have an item style that helps me position these. So I'm going to create an item style that I call column 2. And the interesting thing about item styles is that unlike style sheets, they can have partial attributes in here. So for my box, I care about the width because, of course, it should be exactly the same width of the column, but don't care about anything else. So I'm going to just take everything out here. I don't need maybe even the color, so I can have different color coupons. And the only thing that I need to select is the origin across. So the 66 here in the X coordinates, that's what I want to have in here. And I don't care about frame, I don't care about line, text, picture, maybe about run around. So apply that, clipping, drop shadow. Okay, so I called this column 2. Now I'm going to do the same thing for column 1. So I'm going to move this into column 1. 1, and same thing. Origin across is important, width is important, and the rest I don't care about. So I'm going to take this out. Like this. Bear with me. Nothing about frame, line, picture, text, I don't care. Run around, yes I care. And I say OK. So what I've set up now, and I would have to repeat that for all other columns 3, 4, 5, is with one click, I'm going to move this box into column 1 or column 2. Okay, so let's create a new coupon. And this coupon maybe is a bit smaller. Maybe this is an ad, not item, right? Run around item. And let's give this a different color, like this. So this looks completely different than that one. Still, my item styles, they work the same way. So if I click on here and say column 1, and of course if I would move this to column 2, this wouldn't work. So I'm just going to move it down here. And if I click on column 2, you can see this now moves to the same position. So a great way of using item styles to automate your work and make sure that these are always correctly positioned. That could be other elements here too. So item styles is a great way of achieving that. And of course, item styles have also what you probably typically would have thought I would show you is to make things consistent. So if I have certain pictures here, let's bring in some pictures, image grid, get a folder of my images, these here. Right, so what I want to do is let's move these images a bit. So I'm going to use my tool, item tool, select all of them, move them down a bit so you can see it a bit better. So what I want to do is I want to give all of my pictures a consistent look, and also I wanted to have a caption here. So that's the reason why I'm actually using the image grid, because image grid can get me the name of the pictures in here. So two problems now. First, you can see my caption here. It's not nicely formatted. And I have this .jpeg in here, and that's not what I want to have. So let's first format these captions here. I'm going to create an item style that I call caption. And the caption is going to have, no, sorry. That's not how I should do that. I will do that later. Let's first format it. So I'm going to use a white background. I'm going to give this transparency of maybe around 60%. I'm going to make this, put this in the middle, maybe, and let's go to my characters. Right, so what I need to do is I need to center it, and I will move this up just to have a look how it looks like. It looks okay, but I don't want it so wide, so maybe I'll do this 40, right? This is how I want to have it look like, and I want to center this, so I will just select the two things here, and I'll go to item space align, item relative, and I will align them horizontally. So this is the way I want them to look like, all of them. And maybe this thing, so the picture box, I also want to have look different, so I'm going to use rounded corners, and maybe I'm going to use a drop shadow. That's how I want all of my boxes to look like. So what will I do? First, I will create an item style that is called pictures. Then I will create an item style by just selecting them that is called caption. And now I need a style sheet that is also a paragraph style sheet that is also called captions. And now I can format all of them, so I can click on this one and say this is pictures, and you can see it looks exactly the same way. Of course, a quicker way of doing that is by just multiple selecting them, holding the shift key, maybe all 5 of them, and I'll go to pictures. You can see all of them look now similar. Same thing for captions. So I'm going to multiple select captions. I'm going to say caption, and same thing here, caption. And now I want them to be aligned on the same height like the other one, so I just move it up here, and with smart guides you can see they snap. And to get these aligned, you just go to item space align, item relative, center horizontal. So just remember the shortcut key, and you hit the shortcut key. Oh, sorry. Select this one first, and then item space align, item relative, horizontal, so that you can see they snap actually in there. Next thing I need to do is, of course, the style sheets here have to be consistent. I need to get rid of the JPEG. I also don't this .jpg string or text characters. So of course I don't want to do that manually. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go edit, find change, and I'm going to look for a certain text .jpg. I'm going to replace this by an empty text, and I'm going to also apply caption. So let's find first, right? There's my first one, and then I say change and find, or change all, and just one has changed. Why is that? Because I didn't click on layout, right? So find first, there's the first one, change all, 6 instances changed. And if you look what I've done, I have applied the style sheet, and I've removed all the .jpg, right? So a great way of making all of these things consistent here, with the advantage, of course, that now when I say, well, my drop shadow isn't strong enough, so I'll just go to pictures, I go to edit, and I'm going to go to drop shadows, and of course my drop shadow style, sorry, I'm in the wrong one, pictures, go on, pictures, drop shadows. So I see this one, and the distance, maybe I'll make this a bit further, say okay. You can see all of them now have a much stronger drop shadow, except for this one where I probably forgot to apply my style sheet. So great way of using item styles to keep things consistent here. Yeah, so this really concludes our software show. Just to wrap up before we come to questions, I have these cheat sheets that I'm going to send you afterwards, so you get a download link. Here's my marketing slide that I promised. If you don't like marketing, close your eyes. Just wanted to remind you we have a nice offer available right now where you can get some Creative Pro tools when you buy one of the bundles, when you want to upgrade to QuarkXPress 10. And the nice thing is it's also available for existing customers of QuarkXPress 10. I think that's unique. Typically, these promos are only available for new customers and customers upgrading now. So give us a call, give our telesales team a call and find out. We have a similar offer for you when you're already an existing customer of QuarkXPress 10. And by the way, all the fonts that I've shown here in the presentation in my documents are also included in this Creative Pro bundle. Questions? We're going to answer questions now. So if you have questions, please type them in the Q&A panel in your webinar software. Remember, no tech support questions. If you have tech support questions, remember we offer free support for 90 days after purchase. Go to quark.parachute.com. And if you want to have more support or support afterwards, you can also buy maintenance, which gives you free unlimited support as long as maintenance is running. And you can also head over to our forums at quark.com, where you find other experts and industry gurus and Quarkians that actually answer your questions here. And if you, for example, are looking for a shortcut key, the one to align the elements, and you don't find the documentation on your hard drive, just go to our homepage under support documentation, QuarkXPress 10. You find the user manual, and you also find the shortcut key list for Mac and for Windows. So let's open this to questions. So have a look at my Q&A panel here. Okay, sound problem, sorry about that. As I said, we're going to have a download link for you available where you can find this. Okay, that's the interesting one. Somebody asked about how did you create this toolbar? Because typically toolbar should be here at the left and this looks a bit funny or looks different. Well, when QuarkXPress 10, and this is a Mac only feature, so with QuarkXPress 10 we added Cocoa, or QuarkXPress 10 is now Cocoa based, so you can simply just drag out the toolbar. This is the typical toolbar you probably know. So what I did is I just dragged the toolbar in here into my palette group, and I actually like that because now I can scroll it up and down, and I have much more screen space available for my toolbar here. And I get the tools out. I never use the hand tool because I know my shortcut key. So by holding the control key, I, for example, got the linking and the text linking, unlinking out here. If they're in the flyout menu, just hold the control key and select them, and then they move out. This is actually possible also for Windows, so you can move toolbars out and in to the flyout menus. You just can't use the palette groups here. So great way of customizing that. Same thing for the measurement palette. Yes, I also used to have it down here for a long time, but since my dock is always coming up, I actually now prefer it to be up there because then I don't have my dock always coming out on Mac. Q&A. Okay. Yeah, so some are asking, so can I use item styles also as a shadow style feature? Yes, exactly. That's what I meant to say. You know, so because it's selective, if you just want to have shadow styles, what you can do is you just create a box here and you go into item styles. You deselect everything that you don't want to have in here. So no line, no picture, no runaround, no clipping. And then you just define, sorry, then you just define all of the elements here, and then you have a shadow style, item style, basically. Okay, but the job jackets, yes, that's going to be a later session. Remember, the question is, you know, how do I distribute style sheets via job jackets? That's something I'm going to show you in a later session. We distributed them here with a library, and I think that's a great way of actually even sending somebody via email your style sheet. So it's a great way of sharing that here. Okay, thank you. So I'm glad that a few comments here say that there was some great tips in there. So I'm really glad. Thank you for the feedback, so that we know that we're giving you some valid tips here. Don't see any other questions. Okay, so I think this is all the questions answered. So all I can say now is, remember, there's going to be class 2 on June 4th, and everybody who has already registered will be automatically registered, so you don't have to re-register. You will get reminder emails. Don't worry about that. It's going to be about kerning and open type features. And I hope you had fun today, and I'll thank you for your time. And remember, we send you the recording afterwards. And thank you again for your time. Have a good day. Bye.